With the defeat of Honoric's army, the rightful ruler of Earthmancast has returned to his throne. But even as the people of the city celebrate, evil stirs in the bowels of all. Denizens of the Rift have captured allies that the lord of the city holds dear, and he must set forth to venture their escape. This might seem like an impossible task, but he is no mere man. He is Avenger. I am Ninja. My parents are the heaven and the earth. My home is my body. My power is loyalty. My magic is training. My life and my death is breathing. My body is control. My eyes are the sun and the moon. My ears are sensitivity. My laws are self-protection. My strength is adaptability. My ambition is taking every opportunity with fullness. My friend is my mind. My enemy is carelessness. My protection is right action. My weapons are everything that exists. My strategy is one foot in front of the other. My trust is in quality. My way is the way of the tiger. Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry and it's time for some more of The Way of the Tiger. Now, we are on the second layer of caverns and chasms and tunnels in the edge of the Great Abyss, that is not the World Wound, this isn't Galarian. It temporarily escapes me, but hopefully it'll come back to me. Is it just called the Pit? Surely not. The Rift. That's it. The Rift in Orb. Yeah. And a few things have come up. So there's a few things I'd like to discuss before continuing. First off, yeah, I didn't upload a video yesterday. I totally recorded it and then I fell asleep for something like 15 hours and didn't upload it. So it'll be going up tomorrow. Right, so that out of the way, next up, there is an illustration in this book of Cassandra. Look, this is just things I've seen during this playthrough, right, without actually getting to the correct sections or anything. So there's an illustration of Cassandra, flanked by, I think, 3 orcs, levelling her sword in a commanding and domineering manner at the viewer with a sneering expression on her face, as if the viewer is helpless and about to be bullied or tormented or even wounded in some way. I had assumed that this
was a possible future event we have not yet encountered, especially as there seems to be some great big trap set up for us, and we suspect this is no good at all for us. However, I have also noticed during our playthrough there are a number of sections in the book, probably enough of them, related to a fight with an orcish champion or war chief or warlord of some kind, who has a name that I think is basically a word. And when Cassandra and Lady Foxglove arrived and waited outside the city, they had a company of some 200 orcs with them. And we had an option to sneak out and attempt to capture Cassandra and Lady Foxglove on our own. It is entirely possible that the situation of being captured and taken prisoner by Lady Cassandra is down that particular branch that we have avoided, so it might not be an upcoming trap at all, but rather something I haven't experienced in this playthrough whatsoever. Next up, I was asked in the comment section to share thoughts on this adventure, and I wrote down some, and I'll probably give some proper thoughts at the end of the adventure anyway. For now, though, I'm feeling like Lady Foxglove is a bit of a wasted opportunity, or a bit underdeveloped as a character. We first met her in Book 3 as the head of a secret service, a spy organisation, and she was surprisingly loyal, went out of her way to warn us and to save our life when an assassin was coming for us. And of course, this may have been completely an act of self-interest to gain our trust for the future, right? We don't know entirely what her motivation was, but there seemed to be a genuine element of care about it from the way she delivered the message. Of course, she is the head of a spy organisation. We should not expect her to be honest. We have seen that she always utilizes her appearance to manipulate the opinions of the viewers. So she will try to look very impressive and fanciful, or very somber and calm. You know, she chooses her clothes and her makeups to make a real statement and to leave a strong impression. So when she came to the city, she was dressed in tattered garments. Her once fine finery was in drabs, you know, and she had even gone to the effort of malnourishment to look like she'd had a really hard time. Now, this does not entirely need to be a fabrication. Some of this could have been quite genuine. But we do know she's attempted to manipulate us and everyone else present in the past. Although most of her manipulation seems to be fairly minor, for little gain beyond getting people to agree with what she wants. Sorry, I'm just looking. One moment. Let me. Something. Huh. Okay. I'll have to look at that later, but that looks odd. Looking at something that seems a little weird, and I'm going to have to check it out later, because it's distracting me, obviously. Now, while I do seem to vaguely remember that she needs to be alive and with us by the end of the book for us to reach the end of the book, alive ourselves, in that she seems to be alive and in our presence in the final section, from what I remember. And to be fair, these are pretty old memories. And she does seem to be in our presence at the beginning of book 7. albeit very briefly, she has now left our company and ridden away, which may have doomed us to an auto-kill. However, I went and had a little look at that section because we did have an option to prevent her from leaving. And this is how it plays out. First off, if we did not have the skill of Shinren, we would have been completely under her power and an enchantment would have been placed on us, and we would have had to make a note of it on our character sheet or somewhere similar. And this would obviously have some kind of ramifications later on. Probably even worse ones in Book 7. How do I... sorry, just organising my thoughts, deciding which to say next, in what order to say things. And then, in the morning, after we had both slept, she demands we give her the royal sceptre. And we resist as much as we can, and have to spend a point of inner force resisting her, but eventually we have to give in and hand it to her, and... oh, bugger. One moment. Some minutes and one changed bedsheet later, I can inform you that after resisting her powers of persuasion as long as possible, and having to spend one point of inner force to do so, we hand the royal sceptre over to Lady Foxglove, and she, pleased to know that she can get us to do what she wants, hands it back to us. Having used that bout of persuasion to test if her power is working. And then we continue on our journey to the rift. With the power of Shinren, her power does not fully overwhelm us, and she makes to leave, and we can let her go, as we did. Or we can ignore the Shinren warning and take her with us, in which case it skips to the morning section of her trying to persuade us to give her the sceptre, and we spend a point of inner force and we give it to her. Then she gives it back to us. But we have avoided the section telling us to make a note that we are fully under her power, so we would be temporarily unable to resist her, but there wouldn't be long-term ramifications. And she would still be with us. Having her with us does not seem to lead to us being spotted on the way into the rift. So something else must have done that, like sleeping all night when we both camped previously. Then maybe something may have spotted us without having to approach too close. I don't know. But essentially we've left her behind. And from what I've seen, it seems like she plays a very small part in Book 7. Barely at all. There is possibly one or two auto kills related to her in that book. But it just seems like she's kind of... well, it's not very pretty, and it seems like nothing very nice ever happens to her, and she just gets treated badly. Let's put it that way. It seems like she could have been a more developed character. And it seems like she's a bit more two-dimensional than she originally seemed. The times where we gained the impression there was more to her seemed to just not be the case. But I don't know for certain. Also, Cassandra, Chuchev and Form are very memorable villains. And they're great villains. First off, they are absolutely player characters from an old Dungeons and Dragons campaign that the authors played back in the day, and yes, they were all that evil. But as evil player characters, they work as a team, they make plans, They put those plans into action, and they have contingency plans for when things go wrong. They care for each other. They take it in turns to take actions. They work really well in a highly staged, very theatrical manner. They are not the kind of gang of villains who arrogantly and egotistically are all just out for themselves, don't work together, don't cooperate, and just sabotage each other. And they know when to run away and regroup, or to gather their strength for another attempt. And whenever they do turn up, you know they've got contingency plans, and you see what their plan is, but you think, what other 2 or 3 plans are they working on? They're schemers, right? They are great characters, and they do feature in something like 3 or 4 different gamebook books. There's The Way of the Tiger. They also appear in Talisman of Death in the Fighting Fantasy series. Then there's that interactive fiction series where they appear in, I think, 1 book. And there's another series, I think starts with an F or something. Oh, wait, no, it's something else, isn't it? Something more recent, where it's like roots of the world tree all bound together, lots of different worlds, and you kind of travel between different places. And I can't remember what it was called. I think I wrote it down somewhere on a scrap of paper. A scrap of paper on a notepad, and I have that notepad, and I'm pretty sure all the pages are still on it, so I can go and look. Just, it's upstairs. When Cassandra and Foxglove turned up, Cassandra claimed that Lady Foxglove had become very popular with the Black Widow. And we know the Black Widow to be the leader of the Dark Elves in the Rift, the new leader of the Dark Elves in the Rift. We don't know if it is a Dark Elf who has taken that name to be really edgy and really scary, or if it is literally a great big giant spider. And being related to the Dark Elves, it being a giant spider would make total sense, especially with the whole giant spider thing in Book 7. The Black Widow could literally be Nulak, the goddess of spite. Right. Also, we see evidence, like here and other places, that the adventurers from Book 2 are coming back in this book, and they also seem to feature in Book 7. It could be argued that bringing back so many characters from the earlier books is lazy, and it's just like slapdashing something together. But it also makes the world feel more alive, and these aren't rubbish characters we didn't like or never wanted to see again. These are characters who stood in our memory. Like, we remember the heroes who attacked the undead creature and the wizard cast, stinking cloud, and they all started choking, and of course the undead creature didn't, because it didn't have to breathe. And so the magician was berated by one of the priests for this afterwards. The kind of mistake low-level heroes might make, right? And they have had some time. They might have gained a bit more experience, be a bit more prestigious. They could, however, still make some accidental errors. But it is nice to be seeing everything coming back together again. It's nice to see Cassandra Chuchev form. Cassandra, see stuff here again, right? For whatever reason, the way the book is laid out, the sections we are being sent to are too close and often adjacent to very telling sections such as this one, which we probably should not know about this early on. And speaking of further on in the adventure, and this early on, let's get a bloody move on, shall we? I will reread section 9. There is something different at the bottom of my character sheet. It's my script for the intro, because I just wrote it there. I'll probably tidy it up later, But anyway, the tunnel you are in is joined by several others and then winds down steadily into the depths of Orb. Soon you are down to the more populous second tier. Here, complete villages and towns exist, trading with one another, mining and raiding each other for slaves and booty. You will have to start going along even more carefully. And so we do. Countless tunnels diverge in all directions at this level. Finding your way, if you keep to the smaller tunnels, will be difficult. If you take the broader tunnels, you run a greater risk of being spotted. Will you try to find yourself a disguise so that you can bluff your way down to the lower tiers, or rely on stealth? Now, I have a feeling that a disguise may fail because we might smell too human or too clean. Even if we try and dirty ourselves up a bit, it'll be dirt on the surface, not stuff that's ingrained into us through months or years of living here. So I think we may need to be sneaky. A skill we allegedly excel at. Is this correct? Let's check. Not 39. 319 is where I think we were supposed to go. Yes, just checking. Looks like Cassandra, Churchev and Form arguing there. Cassandra doing most of the arguing. Churchev mentally preparing a rebuttal, perhaps, and Form just bored or like, oh, I don't want to deal with this right now. There is a choice of tunnels ahead of you. A small tunnel branches away deeply into the rock, away from the direction of the cavern, and a wider tunnel with its rusty rails at one side, which has rusty rails at one side of it, leads gently downwards and ahead. Remember what I said about this? Odd number, even number, different author. So the question is this a handover to the other author? With this being an auto-kill or a mistake? Or is this the error? The little side thing and this being the main one? Let's go with the small tunnel branching away deep into the rock, away from the direction of the cavern. Because we are trying to get down to the 4th tier after all. And if it's narrow, small tunnel, it's less likely to be well travelled. The other thing I was going to say is it feels as if we are less than halfway through the book, right? The narrow tunnel ends abruptly in a steep stone stairway, shelving deeply down. Since Glaivas is almost certainly many tiers below, you decide to take the stairs. After a long climb, you come to the edge of a great cavern. It is far too big for the torch of Lumen to cast light on its far side. Alert to the faintest sound, you set off across the immense vault. That's another reason to avoid a disguise, because we still need to be able to see in the dark. The fact we are carrying a light at all means we might attract attention even if we blend in. So, right. The echoing of your footsteps, no matter how stealthily you tread, returns from the faraway walls of the cavern. The feeling of being so far underground, surrounded by foes, is becoming overpoweringly unpleasant. The tension is unbearable. You feel trapped cracked and vulnerable and even begin to hear footsteps approaching that aren't there. When you're about halfway across the vault, judging by the echoes, you realize that the footsteps are real, and that they are closing in on you from all sides. Suddenly there is a whoosh of flame and a ring of fires burst up ahead of you, then others to the left and right. The vault is like a huge underground temple. Mock pillars that no longer quite reach the ceiling cast shadows at irregular intervals. The approaching footsteps are those of a party of orcs, led by 2 dark elves in blue cloaks. They have been walking towards the glow of the torch of Lumen, but now they can see you in the light of the fires. The chase is on. Ahead of you, 30 meters away, is a gallery leading to stairs, but it is guarded by a score of orcs with crossbows. We do have arrow cutting. To the right, 15 meters away, is another tunnel, so closer. But this is guarded by 2 ogres wearing leather armor and wielding 4-meter-long pikes like the men of Antiochus, used in the golden age of the Inner Sea. To the left of you, about 12 meters away, are the elves and the orcs. Will you run towards the ogres, the gallery, or stop where you are? Okay. To the right is a tunnel with the 2 ogres. Ahead, if we go to the right, we are heading further away from the elves and orcs to the left. Stop where you are is an interesting decision, but I doubt they just want to talk with us or take us prisoner. We do have the Sceptre with us, so we could say we brought it. I think we run ahead. The gallery towards the stairs. This may be dumb. Let's find out. The Dark Elves shout a command in their lilting language, and when you are 10 meters from the gallery, they open fire. The volley of arrows comes thick and fast. If you have the skill of arrow cutting, we absolutely do. Then we should turn to the correct section and defend ourselves against the missiles. The orcs let their bows fall in disbelief as you knock aside 3 arrows in quick succession and then catch one in each hand. You climb the steps to the gallery like a whirlwind and fell 2 of the orcs who try to stop you. The elves are still shouting orders as you disappear down the stairway at the far side of the gallery. Note that you have been spotted in the sacred vault. Well, that would have happened whatever we did, right? A disguise may have helped us, but this means the chase is on. Because they still wanted to know why I was carrying a glowing torch. Essentially, the only way to avoid that would have been to avoid the vault entirely. For several hours you follow the circuitous twistings of the tunnels that lead down to the 3rd tier. Your nerves are strained taut like hot wires lancing into your brain by the tension. You have been listening for the sounds of pursuit for so long that you can no longer tell whether the distant muffled commands and the clashing of cymbals that seems to sound every time you set off down another staircase is real or imagined. Yeah. Just because we've been spotted does not mean we will be pursued and encountered later on. We might meet someone who has heard that we were in a place we should not be. Oh joy, this is going to be an interesting section. I can see this already. Right. At last you reach the huge halls of the 3rd tier. The atmosphere is filled with smoke that burns and the lungs until you become used to it. At least the braziers burning everywhere mean you can conceal the torch of Lumen for the time being. Together with the smoke you become aware of a constant hum in the background. This puzzles you for some time until you realize it is the everyday noise of the denizens of the 3rd tier going about a multiplicity of mundane tasks. The sound of their voices and the scuffing of their shoes blended with many thousand other noises into a monotonous low drone. Approaching footsteps startle you out of your reverie. If Foxglove is with you, she is not. If not, read on. If you were spotted crossing the sacred vault on the second tier, we were. Otherwise... Okay then, let's face the music. The torches set in the brackets of the nearby walls, this picture may be relevant, seem to flare brightly of their own accord, throwing into vivid relief an etching on the floor which extends over most of the chamber in which you find yourself. The floor has been plated with metal onto which a huge bloated spider shape has been cut with acid. The spider has only 4 legs, one at each corner of its huge body, each of which points towards a tunnel exit. The tunnel by which you entered, to which the right back leg points, is suddenly blocked by a wall of flame, and the heat forces you forwards to the centre of the spider's body. A ghastly figure enters the chamber from the opposite tunnel. It is a dark elf in a robe of purple and green, but the usually beautiful jet-black face is horribly contorted. 8 splayed legs and a bloated spider's body project from below the chin, as if half a huge spider has been grafted onto her face. It is one of the sisters of Nulak, dreaded magicians whose mothers have mated with one of the 3 mother spiders in the deeper vaults of the rift. She gestures you to leave the chamber by the tunnel indicated by the etching's front right leg. And this is because we were spotted in the previous temple. Will you try to kill the Sister of Nulak, or try to leave by the other free entrance guarded by 2 statues behind you and to the left? I feel that is the choice. We were spotted in the temple. I don't think she's here to help us. Unless... Look, we were attacked when we tried to leave the temple. And I don't think they just wanted to invite us for a cup of tea. I don't think they just wanted to have a polite conversation. It's possible they were a welcoming committee, ready to grab us and take us to the meeting point where we would hand over the sceptre and then be brutally murdered for coming here alone in the first place like an idiot. It's possible. Look, we were in a sacred chapel, and they shouldn't be shedding blood in a holy place. I think I try to leave by the other entrance, and kill her if she prevents me from doing so. Probably another wall of flame trying to block me off, is what I'm sensing. You make for the tunnel. The Sister of Nulak seems to whisper under her breath, and then something bad happens, probably. Will you hurl yourself between the sword-bearing statues, or edge forwards carefully through the tunnel entrance? You know what? I'm thinking... She is calling on the swords to strike. And we go slow. Right, if we hurl ourselves through, it might be some trap is coming and we need to be quick enough to get through it. However, if it is a big nasty chop, look, if it blocks off the exit. So, what are we trying to do here? Are we trying to get out of the room before something bad happens? Or get out of the room before that entrance is barred to us, right? If she does something magically that prevents us from passing through that doorway, then, oh look, we're still inside the room and we're totally fine. Let's go slow. The fact the statues have swords being mentioned here is a clue that I probably should not have overlooked. But I may be reading too much into this. Slow and steady. Oh, The swords descend faster than the eyes can see, grazing your chest, then returning to their original position before you have time to think. If you pass between the statues, they would chop you in two. You have no choice but to leap through the tunnel indicated by the Sister of Nulak. As you cross the cavern once again, she causes it to fill with a whirlwind of sharp flakes of copper which tear loose from the floor and bite into you. You lurch through the tunnel entrance, lose 3 endurance points, and we are very much still alive. I think that's our first damage of the book. Oh no, it's not. Okay. When did we take... Oh, food? We didn't have food? No, that's Lone Wolf. I'm not sure how we took 3 damage earlier. Probably staying up all night watching over Foxglove. Right. I wonder what interaction Foxglove would have had with the Dark Elf Priestess. If the Priestess would have recognized her. You run quickly down the tunnel. The Sister of Nulak does not give chase. To your consternation, she claps her hands and laughs. There is another flare of fire behind you, and a wall of flame has sealed her end of the tunnel. Will you run back through the solid wall of fire? Probably a really bad idea, or run on. Well, we know this was the wrong way to go anyway. But other than trying to kill her, we had little choice. And if we try and hurl ourselves through a wall of flame now, we're likely to take significant damage. Now, we wouldn't be in contact with the fire for very long, but it may repel or repulse us, and it feels like we should just continue to whatever trap she has prepared for us and keep our wits about us so we can deal with it as best we can. I do not feel that going through the fire and the flames at this point is the wisest decision. Running on, you see too late a high recess in the roof of the tunnel. You are beneath it when you look up and a tiny spider drops onto your upturned face. You slap it, but it runs into your hair and then into your ear, darting so quickly that it cannot be stopped. If you have a bullthrush-headed pin, no we don't, we're going to die, aren't we? Awesome. Hooray! It's going to do something really nasty. The spider burrows deeper and deeper inside your ear. Desperately, you shake your head and cuff yourself, trying to dislodge it, but to no avail. Soon you can feel it fidgeting somewhere under your brain. It is a daughter of Nulak. If you now have 2 of these daughters of Nulak spiders inside your head, you are screwed. Otherwise, let's just put 1 here, and it's bad news. The spider moves occasionally as if to remind you to live in fear, but nothing awful happens yet. There are no sounds of pursuit as you continue searching for the paths that lead ever deeper into the ground, but the sensation of being watched grows until your hair prickles with apprehension. Definitely feeling like we have made mistakes. Soon you have left the 2nd tier far above, but we were on the 3rd tier already by this point, weren't we? For several hours you continue to descend without being challenged. The only thing of note which you pass on the way is the scene of a battle. 3 dark elves and as many orcs lie dead on a stone landing. 1 was killed while running away, but they seem to have been fighting on the same side. A scroll has been discarded nearby, its magic spent, but to your surprise you recognize it as a scroll that carries the blessings of Gauss, enchanter of arms, patron of sages who took up the sword and fought on the side of good when the Pantheon descended to orb itself to do battle many thousands of years ago. There are no other clues as to who joined battle against your enemies, the elves, dark elves and the orcs, but there is a vile and noxious gas lingering in the hallway which almost makes you vomit and makes us think we know who did it. Judging by the arrows that lie on the floor, or of pierced bodies, They attacked from a side passage. Will you take this passage or continue down the seemingly never-ending stairway? Wait, the Dark Elves and the Orcs attacked from the side passage, or... hang on. There are no other clues as to who joined battle against your enemies, the Dark Elves and the Orcs. Judging by the arrows that lie on the floor or of pierced bodies, they attacked... If they came out of a side passage, they probably haven't gone back into it. Unless they've retreated to rest. I think we do take the side passage, see if we can... They've probably gone on ahead. But side passage it is. Let's try and meet the adventurers and find out what they are doing here. This passage too begins to descend, then becomes a twisting stairway. For several hours you follow its tortuous twistings down to the third tier. Yeah, I should have gone the other way, shouldn't I? One moment. Doesn't seem to... Okay. Well, we chose our path. Let's take it. This passage too begins to descend and then becomes a twisting stairway. For several hours you follow its tortuous twistings down to the third tier. Your nerves are at breaking point. The tension makes your head throb. You have been listening for sounds of pursuit for so long that you can no longer tell whether the distantly muffled commands and the dull echo of a great gong that seemed to sound every time you set off down another turn in the staircase is real or imagined. Also, the spider messing in our head has got to be really bad, and if we can meet the adventurers, they may be able to help us. Although we seem to have probably taken the wrong path for that. At last you reach the huge halls of the third tier. The atmosphere is filled with smoke that burns and the lungs until... Hang on, haven't we been here before? See, ever smoky, becoming a constant hum. Yeah, we have. We literally have. No. Every day I was... hang on. If not, 248. How did we get turned around? Disguised as dark... No, okay, right. That is remarkably similar to a previous section. At last you reach the huge halls of the third tier for a second time. The atmosphere is filled with smoke that burns the lungs until you become used to it. At least the braziers burning everywhere mean you can conceal the torch of lumen for the time being. Together with the smoke you become aware of a constant hum in the background. This puzzles you for some time until you realize it is the everyday noise of the denizens of the third tier going about a multiplicity of mundane tasks, the sound of their voices and the scuffing of their shoes blended with many thousands of other noises into a monotonous low drone. Lady Foxglove is not with us, so we turn to 248. This feels like I'm going round in circles. But this is new. If you're disguised as a Dark Elf, if you're disguised as a Shambler, if you're relying on stealth and have no disguises, then we turn to this section. You are crossing a dark cavern with fluted arches meeting at points in the ceiling. Hanging from each of the points is a skeleton, a grim reminder of the fate that befalls many here in the eternal darkness. If you have played Assassin, Way of the Tiger Book 2, and met a party of adventurers who had become caught up in the noxious vapours spell cast by their own magician Eris, and you defeated the undead warlord who was attacking them, and I blatantly did, then it seems we may have been reunited, and if not, then we don't recognise them when we get introduced, right? Ooh. Aha. These people are familiar. What people? There were fucking skeletons hanging from the ceiling! What people? What? 248? Hang on. Am I completely fucking up here? Does this make no sense at all? Do I have to go get the physical book and hanging from each... Okay. So there's skeletons. Are they just dead? Let's see, 98. If we did not know them. Whispering warning carries assassin, challenge or slay. Or at least in the cavern two who speak the common tongue. Okay, so what the fuck is going on? These people are familiar. We don't know which people or where they came from or what the fuck is going on, but anyway. You take off your face coverings and greet them. They are Eris the magician, Tybalt and Taflur, both priests, and Vespers, a swordsman. You saved them from a terrible predicament, and Tybalt healed you of the plague. They are dressed now as then. Vespers in a grey surcoat, with an unfurled scroll picked out in the white thread across his chest. Your studies in the library at Erstmanncast have since revealed that this is the insignia of a reverencer of the god Gauss, enchanter of arms, patron of sages, who was forced to take up the sword at the time of the descent of the Pantheon to Orb. Tybalt, dressed in his white robe with its red cross, is a worshipper of Avatar, the one, supreme principle of good, while Taflur, whose robe is green with a white cross, reveres Illustra, goddess of life, consort to Avatar. Eris, the magician, whom you remember as a strange, capricious fellow, is a little nervous at the sight of you. The 5 spoked wheel on his robe indicates that he follows Beatan the Free. The 5 spokes are 5 of the 10 arrows of limitless possibility that tend towards good rather than evil. You know and can trust these men. Now that they recognize you, they step forwards to embrace you in turn, hungry for news. You tell them much, and in return they pass on some useful information, like how to get this bloody spider out of my head, presumably. But let's put it this way, they're my best bet. The 4 adventurers are here in the rift for a purpose, not merely to loot or to slay evil creatures. They have a score to settle. You have enemies in common. They are hunting the worshippers of the chaos god Anarkil, who slew the high priestess of Illustra in the city of Harif Siva Crow. Taflur has persuaded his friends to seek out and destroy Tyurchev, Form, and Cassandra, the very people who seek your downfall. Tybalt tells the story of how the evil free, dared to venture into the great cathedral to Illustra and kill the powerful high priestess before her own altar. They are on their trail. The worshippers of the Chaos God are somewhere on the 4th tier below. The 4 adventurers hate the evil trio. We can offer to join them, or say, may fate smile on you and go your own way. No, we will adventure with them. It means we won't be as sneaky, but we will have assistance. Beautiful picture of Foxglove there, but she's not with us, so let's try not to look at it too much. It probably relates to this section up here, right? No, blatantly that one there. Okay, right. The adventurers believe that Cassandra, Tyurchev, and Form are somewhere on the 4th tier. It is a long way between the 3rd and 4th tiers, and takes some time for you to find a way down. Evidently, there are few connecting tunnels and stairways, so that the deeps are easily defensible against the attacks of Sunlanders, which we saw at the other section if we'd taken the other stairs, so we might have missed them if we'd taken that route, in the unlikely event that an invasion of the Twilight Realms be attempted. You see no further sign of any trouble and skillfully evade detection until at last you find a way that leads down to the 4th tier, where we have a warning to heed. A warning that may be a trap. Lady Foxglove is not with us, so we continue onwards. It would be interesting if, with us, she confesses and says, I was planning a trap with... I see her name up there, and it looks like an auto-kill, quite possibly. Oh, she wants to be queen, does she? Is that it? Right. And there's me thinking it would be something more deep than that. Gwyneth would still be her enemy and wouldn't be influenced, but could be overwhelmed. The tunnel you are in leads to a balcony above a great open underground plaza. In the plaza are rows of goruka trees, a cross between trees and mushrooms, which flourish in large spaces underground, nourished by the bacteria of guano of bats and other creatures, like all those giant mushroom trees in Morrowind, for example. They are like great still beasts, contorted into grotesque shapes and entwining as if they had been writhing together when the sun suddenly went out and they were robbed of movement. The plaza is lit so brightly by furnaces and blazing fires that your eyes, long accustomed only to torchlight, are dazzled. The plaza is busy. This is the main route from the 3rd to the 4th tier, down the fire giant's stair. There are no guards to be seen, just a steady bustle of people coming and going. On the far side of the plaza, the largest tunnel and stairway you have ever seen lead down out of sight. Will we attempt to cross the plaza, or try to find a back stairway down to the 4th tier? We are not alone. Our companions don't seem to have been mentioned, bizarrely. Let's hope they are not suddenly forgotten. Let's try be sneaky, find a side way round. Because there's like 5 of us now, right? And if we just walk out into the middle of the group, it's possible one of our companions might antagonize the enemies. It takes more than a day to find an alternative to the fire giant's stair. Only by covertly watching the thieves of the Twilight World, mainly elves and orcs, who have their own thieves' cant, unlike any language you have ever heard, do you discover a secret doorway in a rock face. What the fuck is going on, right? It feels like this book is really disconnected. Let's just go back and... Was it 306? No, but on the same page as 305. There's a long way. I mean, we're not... 76. I keep feeling I may have gone to the wrong number. 156. There's that picture of Cassandra there. Let's see, 216. I know what I'm doing. Too dark. The 4 adventurers. Oh, good. Good. They are still with us. That feels so dodgy. So, 236. Finally. Would have been nice to have some mention that they were still with us there at some point, so that things don't seem to just completely disappear in this book. It does feel very disjointed. It takes a little while to discover how the... Only by covertly watching the thieves of the Twilight World, mainly elves and orcs, who have their own thieves' cant, unlike any language you have ever heard, do you discover a secret doorway in a rock face. It takes a little while to discover how the mechanism works, but at last you swing the rock aside and begin the descent. And then... I'm going to get on to the warning. The twisting, turning tunnel soon branches into a myriad other tunnels and caves. Mercifully, this means you may avoid encountering the thieves of the Twilight World. A sinister shadow moving on a nearby wall makes you start, but when you look again, it is gone. You listen, but all you can hear is the soft susurration of your own breathing. Susurration, as in a susurrus, is like the coming and going of the tide, the sound of the water going in and out. Passing a small cave, Eris's keen eyes catch sight of a strange samovar encrusted with large sapphires. It is about 60 centimeters tall and made of solid gold. He picks it up and examines it, marvelling at its beauty, but he can find no magic in it. It is passed from hand to hand, and you are invited to hold the priceless object. You know what? It could have a Daughter of Nulak in it. We will not take a close look. We'll pass it on to the next person. There might be some kind of gem or something in there, but it's not what we are. No, you know, we have no desire to fall foul of any particular nasty traps. At last the stairs stop in a great dimly lit hallway of dressed stone. A magnificent and sinister sight greets you. Away to the left is a huge archway, and beyond it a succession of carven thrones with statues of the former rulers of this part of the bowels of Orb. In the shadows you can glimpse apparitions, the sight of which would freeze the blood of ordinary folk. To the right is a tall but very narrow tunnel, so narrow that it will admit only one abreast. Of the 4 adventurers, the one called Vespers the swordsman wishes to enter the Way of Thrones, and Eris is already walking towards the archway. Will you warn them against this and persuade them to take the narrow archway, or walk with them through the archway into the Way of Thrones? Now, we have been warned to take the narrow way, and that the Way of Thrones is a trap. Now, this warning came from Cassandra, and she is here with Chuchev and Form. If we go through in single file, we can be horribly ambushed. However, we have been warned that the Dark Elves have trapped the Way of Thrones, and is... Right. Why would Cassandra warn us against the Way of Thrones to direct us towards the narrow archway, obviously to ambush us? However, another reason would be that the Way of Thrones is heavily guarded, and whatever plan the 3 villains have relies on us getting past this trap and to some point further on in the dungeon. I will risk the fact that she's set up a trap for us. Thing is, at this point, when we were recently asked if Foxglove were with us, she could say, I've been working with Cassandra, Chuchev and Form to lead you into an ambush. We didn't expect you to get this far. I'm really impressed. Look, I actually want to help you now, and I want to warn you that the warning she gave you was a trap. It feels like we could have, if we had made different choices, she might not have given us that warning when she left. So I will not go through the Archway of Thrones. I will give them the warning, and we shall take the narrow way and pray it is not a trap. Also, 164, 204 ends in a 4, 256 does not end in a 4. And we'll just, look, if we've set ourselves up for a trap, fine, I take it. But we finally get to find out if she was telling the truth or out to get us. The narrow way continues in a straight line for many hundreds of meters without opening out or offering any openings. Towards its end, it climbs slightly, and when you are halfway up the incline, the floor tilts suddenly and pitches you all forwards onto your face in a small, well-lit room hung with lush tapestries. When you stand and look around, you receive something of a shock, although not that much, if it's just Cassandra, Chuchev and Form waiting for us. Because I have 4 or 5 companions with me who could help me should they come try to overpower me. You have fallen straight into the arms of a reception committee. Arranged in a semicircle about you are 3 people you recognize only too well. Directly opposite you is a tall, wiry man whose frame is draped in a black cloak. The only hint of colour is his very curly hair, which is dyed bright corn yellow. He hefts a bastard sword almost negligently in one hand. On his right is a man in flowing grey robes covered with runes. He sports a large golden earring and has a look of devious intelligence and a smile of anticipation. On the other side is Cassandra, sword drawn, looking as haughty as ever, her bristling hair as dishevelled as her patchwork armour appears to be. The other two are her friends, and your deadly enemies, Chiuchev the thief and blade master, and Form, master of illusion and potent mage. They must have guessed that you would come this way. Chiuchev too has found the secret stairway, and knowing that you could not descend the fire giant's stair, they have lain in wait for you here. They have done well to penetrate so deep into the bowels of ore, but why here? Why not ambush me earlier? Why do they need me to get this far into here? And more importantly, I have allies with me and I am not alone. The Chaos Bringers are ready for you, but not for 4 adventurers. The look of glee on their faces fades to one of uncertainty, while the 4 adventurers struggle hastily to their feet, with looks of plain fear in their eyes, a fear that is quickly turned to hatred as Chiuchev speaks. I wonder that you dare to challenge us. You have not the power. Both Cassandra and I are more dangerous fighters than you, and you, fickle heiress, cannot rival Form's witchcraft. Tafleur begins to chant a blessing in the name of Illustra. So that still rankles, does it? Asks Form, trying to break his concentration. Cassandra says, The High Priestess is dead. What is done cannot be undone. We have no vendetta against the followers of the Goddess of Life. Those who reverence an Archil cannot keep an idea in your head for longer than a minute at a time, says Tybalt imperiously. But we have a vendetta against all who revere the insane god Anarchil. They are not even addressing you. The rivalry of these people must be deep set. Chiuchev says to Eris, Come, Eris, you worship a chaos god. Stand with us again. Cross over to the other side as you did once before. Otherwise your life is run and you cannot stand against us. Foxglove is not with us, although it would be interesting if she was at this point. Form's fingers are making the strangest patterns in the air, and Cassandra and Chiuchev are looking away to the side of the hall. Will you look at the tapestry too, or keep your eyes fixed on Form? No, God, no, I'm looking at the tapestry. It's going to be like a blinding flash of light or something. I will look where they are looking, because they expect whatever he's doing to not affect them badly. You follow their gaze, and there is an eruption of coruscating light so bright it almost stuns you into immobility. You blink and realise that Cassandra and Chiuchev had expected it. They were not interested in anything, but were merely averting their eyes, anticipating the numbing flash that is the result of Form's sorcery, as did we. They are darting to the attack already. Tybalt's black cloak seems to deepen the darkness around him. Cassandra, as ever, moves with the grace and speed of a panther. You are lucky you were not looking at Form, for you would surely have been stunned by the flash had you not averted your eyes. The 4 adventurers have not all been so lucky. Vespers reacted quickly enough to shield his eyes, and Tybalt too has not been stunned, but Eris the Magician and Tafleur are reeling back in a state of shock. Will you use a shuriken against Form, who is beginning another spell, if you have one, or move left so that you put Cassandra and Chiuchev between you and the Master of Illusion? Last time we met, we threw a ninja star at Form, broke his concentration, stopped him casting a spell. It was a good thing to do. Being offered the exact same option again feels like a trap, and whilst going back and forth through the book on our first episode, we saw that throwing a ninja star at him is a trap and they have anticipated it, and they're doing it to bait us into it, which will somehow open us up to something. So let's protect the 2 stunned allies. Because if he casts a spell at us, they will be in his line of fire. As you move, so does Cassandra. Not towards you, but towards Foxglove, who is not even here! What? What? Oh, for fuck off. She's not here. How does she get here? What the fuck? This is wrong. This is really wrong. Okay, one moment. Bloody hell. 194. God, can we get earlier? What numbers do I remember? She's not even here. What the actual fuck? Okay, there's got to be something very wrong here. That's really annoying. Let's see. Wasn't 407. She's not there. How does she magically turn up? Well, it's ironic, because I did wish I hadn't let her get away and had kept her by my side. But I've missed out on so many interactions of her on the way here so far. Is this book just really badly broken? Wow. Oh, God. I'm gonna have to... God, bloody hell. Alright, there was a 64 or 67 at one point. We're gonna have to backtrack a lot and work out what the hell's gone on. 66, sure. 306. I want to check that there's no sort of bad logic flow here, right? Because this is really bothering me tonight, apparently. 76. Wow, that 67 was, like, so near but so far. Right. No, she's not. 156. And the thing is, meeting the welcome committee doesn't mean we fucked up that badly. It means, 236, that we may have still avoided some worse fate, and meeting up with them and falling into their trap could be part of the plot of this book, right? Okay, 276. Four. I should have remembered that with the susurrations. Do not take a look. 164. I bet there's like 3 or 4 daughters of Nulak, and just 2 will kill us. Right, so fall into the trap, absolutely. And then we will start to take notes. 244. Our allies are with us. 284. Right. Let's tidy up this, because I already have recording, so I don't need it. Right. So, if Cassandra's with us, 344... I'm just looking now, you know, if you've been enchanted by her, if Vespers has been enchanted by her, Taflura's been enchanted by her, if none of the above, Foxglove, whose powers in such a situation are limited, sinks to the floor and makes herself small, hoping that when the spells start to fly, she will be overlooked. Thought so. So we go back to 284, because I think the other option is 364. It is. So it's just a way of saying she gets out of the way and she's staying out of this one, right? it would have been good to alternatively be sent to a section that says, she's here now with the bad guys, right? To explain how the fuck she got here. Because this is the section we turn to if she goes, curls up in a ball and hides in the corner. So we've looked at the tapestry. 194. We don't throw an indistinct form because it's a trap. And I'm just going to make a note of that. Just to double check, 294. Yeah, no, perform his incantations. Which, yeah, absolute trap. And then we end up fighting. But we didn't do that, so Shuriken flashes across the horn and wounds form in the shoulder. He is no longer before. Okay. Okay. Bad feeling. So it wasn't a trap, but 194. Now, bear with me on this one, right? So 314, at which point we are instructed that Foxglove is here, right? And has been the entire time. As you move, so does... No, so we have not taken a wrong turn. However... Right. Bear with me on this one. Right. Well, I'm back with a physical book. Second printing. Let's see if the full colour reprints do anything to address this. Alright? Because, here's my first thought, right? Foxglove isn't here. So nothing bad can happen to Foxglove here. Bad things can happen to her somewhere else, but not here, because this is not where she is. Unless, suddenly, she's here. Right? And the reason I'm bringing this up is, I believe in Book 7 there is a section which asks, is Foxglove already dead? Yeah, did she die in Book 6? And I'd imagine this would be a perfect time for her to die in Book 6. Also, hang on, if instead you attack Chuchev who is running at you, what if Cassandra isn't even going to hurt Foxglove, and she's just going over there to make us go to Foxglove so that Chuchev will fuck us up, right? So, first thought, nothing bad can happen to Foxglove because she's not here. Second thought, this choice shouldn't even be here because she's not here. Because there's been no explanation of her sudden appearance. So, just because, look, we could let something bad happen to her here and ignore it because she's not here so it didn't happen. Or, I mean, maybe we go to protect her and then Form is like, ha, you fell for my illusion, that wasn't even real, right? And then that makes sense for her not being here. That would be a good way to trick the player. But it would be better written like you look over and see Foxglove vulnerable as Cassandra dashes towards her. And you're like, wait, I didn't think she was here, but she is here now, right? So, let's look at these sections. 284, 194, 314. Bearing in mind some numbers may have been shifted around to fix things. But the only errata we have for this book is at the end of section 420. So, 284. I'm going to go in tandem here, and we'll just compare the two. Okay? So, 284... if Foxglove is with you... Oh! We have more options, right? 284, we have, if Foxglove is with you, turn to 344. If she is Cassandra's prisoner, turn to 98. Otherwise, turn to 364. So first off, I'm going to check section 98 here. And it's a different section. Okay. It's the section for meeting the adventurers if we had not met them before, if they had not met us before. From somewhere behind the Chaos Bringers, a thin figure bursts into view and dashes to your side. You step back, but then recognize it to be Foxglove. She is in the most dishevelled state you have seen. Yes, run to your saviour, says Cassandra with a cold smile. You've served your use. Now you can die alongside him. That's a shame, because I thought they'd put a lot more thought into this. Foxglove gives you a pleading look. Cassandra must have been keeping her in squalor until you arrived. For some reason unknown to you. Maybe she just was jealous of her being pretty. Foxglove, whose powers in such a situation are limited, sinks to the floor and makes herself small, hoping that when the spells start to fly, she'll be overlooked. Turn to section 246. Not 346. Okay. So let's just see there. 246. So in that case, Cassandra and Chuchev look at Foxglove instead of at the tapestry. Interesting. So we look at Foxglove, go to... So this is a mirror... Yeah, between you and the Master of Illusion. And that takes us to 314 where she's under attack. Okay. So going back to 284, was it? We get 364. Foxglove is not with us. Wait. So, yeah, 364. It's the same section. Okay, look at the tapestry as 194. Eyes fixed on form 214. So we go to 194. Aha! He says. And at 194, throw a shuriken at form is to section 294. Move so that you put Cassandra and Chuchev between you and the Master of Illusion, 106. Not 314. So let's check 106 in this book. And I suspect it's a... You surrender to your assailants and they discuss for a while whether or not to say... No, that's not it. Right. So, 314 from 194. Yeah. Let us compare these two sections. Right? a much shorter section. You hope to minimize the interference of a potent mage and loop around your enemy. Chuchev and Cassandra close on you simultaneously. Tybalt and Vespers step bravely into the breach. They are skilled fighters. Tybalt's flail whines as it whirls through the air and cracks as it smashes against Cassandra's armor. Her lightning riposte wounds the priest, but you are occupied by Chuchev, who dares to attack both you and the swordsman Vespers together. He sends his bastard sword swinging at your head. The blade rings off your iron sleeves as he redirects it flawlessly to deflect a thrust from Vespers. The next instant, the blade is coming at you from the opposite direction. You parry again, but find it difficult to counterattack, for the cloak he wears makes his position uncertain. You realize you cannot maintain this forever, and soon Form will turn the tables with his spellcraft unless you can disable him. You must get beyond the sword fighters to reach Form. We do not have acrobatics, we do not have poison needles, we do have climbing. If you still have your grappling hook and rope. Well, we've never lost them. But trying to climb up, which seems really... Or if you do not choose, you use your other skills, you force your way through Cassandra and Chuchev to 76. Let's check these numbers. Because... Protect Foxglove is 94. Attack Chuchev 334. Presumably, something bad happens to Foxglove. Like she grabs her hair and drags her across the floor and calls her nasty names, or just cuts her to bits with her very sharp sword. Cassandra turns away from Foxglove. She was only trying to lure one of her antagonists out of line. Chuchev and Cassandra close on you simultaneously. So we have combat section with Chuchev here. 360, 309. $360. Ah! Oh! Okay. 309. So, one of those looks familiar. So we're going to note 106 badly. So I'm trying to fix this. And by now it should be fairly obvious why the episode title is what it is. So, we were at not 194. Wait. Because it was... Yeah. So 106 instead of 314, right? So what does that 106 mirror? So 314. Obviously it's bait, right? But let's explore the bait to 94. And then Cassandra goes, "Ha, got you." And while she's distracting you, Chuchev fucks you up with his sword. It's an auto kill! You race to Foxglove's side and arrive before Cassandra's blade can fall, but to your dismay, Foxglove grabs you so that you cannot defend yourself. Cassandra has never missed a stationary target, and her blade smashes your head. Foxglove has betrayed you for the last time, and you die far from home in the eternal darkness. And that does seem like a firm betrayal. It doesn't seem like she just panics and grabs you so that you then can't defend yourself. For the last time, implying there were earlier betrayals beyond just the seduction attempt. So, let's see if, going back to 314, if we can find a way back to our previous position, right? So 314, all the way, we shouldn't be here, should be 194, shouldn't we? No, 314 is correct. Okay, it's all about the numbers tonight, isn't it? Right. 334. Now, if you're still at the end of a third round, 360. If you wound him twice, 309. So we go to 106. If you cannot use any of these skills, force your way through Cassandra and Chuchev's at 76. So it's an auto kill. Okay. Climbing skill 279, which we have. Although that feels like a really bad choice because climbing isn't exactly quick. You abandon this frontal assault and let them chase you. When the time is right, you fling your grappling hook over your shoulder and up to the ceiling. Chuchev, expecting an attack, recoils and allows your hook to catch on an arch. You immediately lunge to the side and pull yourself up with all your strength. You swing in a half circle around the room, far out of the reach of the Chaos Bringers, before you disengage the hook and land beside Form, who hardly has the time to react. There are scant moments to cripple the spellcaster before one or more of the sword fighters are upon you. And so, an attack on him. 279 is there. 270. No, completely different section. So this fight's been pretty much completely rewritten. Whereas our other options there would be acrobatics, 161 to leap over them. Or cartwheel through or something. Like the endless pointless backflips near the beginning of Highlander. Mechanically become aware. No, completely different. That is Cassandra being introduced with the orcs earlier on. Poison needles, 257. So what I'm obviously trying to do here is find a way for these, if you've been spotted on the way. No, okay. I've been trying to find a way to Okay, 258 looks interesting. You surrounded your assailants. Foxglove derides you, pretends you're her bodyguard, so they go easy on you and don't move sensuously towards... Oh, so, okay. Oh, this is the adventuring party, isn't it? She's attempting to seduce one of them. As she goes, she tells him not to believe a word you say, describing you as a megalomaniac and compulsive liar, so sick that you believe you are overlord of Earthman-cast Night Edge. Or just wait and see what happens. Okay, so we're on a completely different path here. So we use our climbing skill, the grappling hook, to swing around awkwardly like a pendulum. I'm trying to find a point where these reunite. Okay. So to hit Form, Tiger's Paw Chop, Winged Horse Kick, or the Teeth of the Tiger throw. I kind of want to go for the throw, but so this is completely not lining up at all, right? So if we go with the 306 and 309, oh, about to finish up when Tybalt crashes into you, losing a battle. Cassandra was a king Latin rise. And get to your chest belt pouch. Suddenly you notice the tapestry will begin to ripple from a wind. Tapestry is okay. So big thing comes in and says hello, right? You hear Cassandra shout, "The world worm, it's our only chance," implying she's about to do something to it, or the evil adventurers wanted to do something, or it's their only chance to get away from the good adventurers. Right, so, like all seasoned campaigners, the Chaos Bringers choose their ground well and have prepared a way to retreat. Chose their ground well. Right, so. Section 34, I will quickly check, is probably where we reunite with the main. Yeah. So we can still get to section 34. However, 314, back here again, 334. I mean, theoretically, we just don't defend Foxglove, who was never under threat because she was never there, and goes straight just to here, right? Especially as going to defend her is an auto kill, so this is the obvious next thing in the fight. Section 334, it does it mirror. It does. If you hit him and reduce his endurance to this changes. If you hit him and have reduced him to 3 endurance or less, highly unlikely, as he's at full health. If you have not succeeded after 3 attacks. So this isn't just hit him twice, this is deals 17 points of damage in 3 attacks. Then we go to 360. Oh! However, we get options to kick, throw, or strike against Churchev, leading into a full-on combat. So, 309, if we hurt him really quickly, before the spell is ready. 309 is that. 360 is... You're still struggling with Churchev when Tybalt crashes into you. So... Form is about to cast another spell. So we go to 34. So the only real difference here is getting hold of Churchev's belt pouch. Hang on. If we are successful in beating up badly, we don't get it. Because that means our ally is badly hurt, right? So having his pouch could just be a way of tracking that Tybalt is badly wounded, right? Eris and Tafleur are watching now. Form was about to... you have knocked a pouch from Churchev's belt, which you quickly retrieve. Seems important, but... So... We hop off the rope next to Form. Tiger's Paw Chop is quite quick. Winged Horse Kick is a double kick. Is it slower than a punch? I mean... For a punch, we may need to close distance. If we're already close enough to do it, we may need to back up for the kick. Let's go for the kick. Right? 247. Wait. No, just 47. Ooh, okay. Make a note of how many times you attack the mage. Glad I'm not throwing. He raises his hands before you, and they burn with a magical heat. You twist and lash your foot at his side, avoiding the feeble defense. Form's defense against the winged horse kick is 5, which means actually I'm going to have to use dice. Guess what I forgot to do start of this session. Okay. Let's get map tools open. We'll open the old Shattered Star file and go from there. I really should create a Way of the Tiger file at some point. Maybe I'll do that for the next book. Nope, we don't want to update just yet. because of a reason. If I blur quickly enough, you won't see enough. Yeah, there's lots of files in here. Okay, it's fine. If you've not succeeded after 2 attacks, hang on. Reduced him to 2 endurance or less. He has so we need to do 10 damage in 2 attacks or less. His defense is 5. I kind of want to go for an inner force kick here just to really make the point. But his defense is 5, right? We need to do 10 damage. I will do a normal kick with no inner force, saving it for a more important fight. See, here the important thing is time, right? So we are rolling 2d6 plus our kick modifier of +2, I believe. Yeah. So yeah, we're completely off the charts here. We're in a completely different book, essentially. And 8 is higher than 5. That is a successful kick. So we will do our d6 plus 2 damage. We kick him for 8 damage. We only need to do 2 more. If you hit him enough the skill of Yubijutsu, that would be useful. Or have reduced him to 2 endurance or less, that would be great. If you have not succeeded after 2 attacks, note we've only made 1 attack. Otherwise, he strikes at you with his enchanted fists. Your defense against this is 9. And he does 1d6 minus 1 damage. This is not a big threat to us. And we're reasonably healthy. He does hit. Let's throw a block, because we can. He still hits. Okay. This may be a problem, but we'll see. -1. He deals a whole 2 points of damage to us, which we can take, but it's a matter of time. So now, of course, because we blocked, we're on a straight roll. That being said, it should be easy to roll over a 5, which we did. Whatever we roll, it's going to be higher than 2. Because we're adding 2 to the dice roll. 3, we've rolled a 1, we do 11 points of damage in total. So we've got him in 2 attacks. We'll turn to section 11. Section 11, where we appear to be fighting Cassandra. Does not match up either. You've hardly begun to fight when Cassandra's sword cuts at the back of your head. If you captured her sword outside the city, you lose 4 endurance, for her replacement sword is not magical. We did not. If she still has her cold sword, the frost-rimed blade chills you to the marrow and burns in your wound. Lose 7 endurance, but hey, maybe it killed the spider in our head. Probably not, but you never know. If you're still alive, it is a miracle that she did not strike your neck. Form reels away and Cassandra immediately puts an arm between the 2 of you. If you arrived here in the company of a band of adventurers, we absolutely did. Otherwise, Chutchev would probably fuck us up by this point, because they wouldn't be there to keep him busy. The battle has been going poorly for your companions. Tybalt is wounded, but is being tended by Tafleur, while Eris is still recovering from the blinding flash. Vespers struggles against Chutchev, but the dark cloak he wears is imbued with a magic that makes it difficult to tell just how close he is. Vespers has not struck him once, and soon will fall if you do not come to his aid. In the second that your eyes are elsewhere, Cassandra produces a throwing knife and sends it flying towards your heart. It is only your quick reflexes that allow you to dodge the attack and rush to support Vespers. Chutchev seems not to care that he is now to defend against both you and the other swordsman, and the swordsman Vespers. He seems more intent on killing you first. So now aha! The Cobra Strike Punch takes us to section 334. Okay. Which we have seen, and it reunites us with the main path. There. Leaping Tiger Kick to 402 and Whirlpool Throw to 418. You know what? He is a little busy. Let's just check if these even remotely match up. Silver-headed Javelin strikes for floor. Nope. Okay. Leaping Tiger Kick also probably is incorrect because it's probably just 402. Okay, so to 334 we go. However, let's look at our other options, because this is an interesting exploration of... Well, I think you can see from the episode title. So let's explore the throw against him, because he's an experienced swordsman, so it's probably a bad idea. But we are coming up on him while he's fighting someone else. He may be distracted. 418... Nope, he just hits you because he can see it coming. And the kick is 402. Hang on. 400. See, this bothered me, right? The errata we have for this book, when it bloody opens. Come on, you. God's sake. At the end of paragraph 420, if Cassandra's sword has not been captured previously, the player should go to 424, not 423. There is... Okay, 424, not 423. Okay. These sections don't exist in the full colour reprint. So there's been some... And they've... The fact that they extended the combat against the evildoers means that... Oh god, we're just... It's straight here, isn't it? The world worm attacks and then we all fall down, right? A tissue, we all fall down. So we're nearly there, actually, at the end. So the fact that they extended the combat against the Chaos Bringers means that we have lost a lot of sections from this original book. So duplicate sections or auto kills have been trimmed to fit everything into the 420 sections that are in the colour reprint. But we're now back at section 334, back on track. Not a very pleasant track, but we made it. Cassandra turns away from Foxglove. She was only trying to... Yeah, well... Section 334. Let's see what it says here, because Foxglove isn't even here. Actually, if we go to 194, 314... Ooh, we're having fun now, right? 314. If you don't go to protect Foxglove, you go to section 152, which is obviously going to say... Cassandra turns away from Foxglove. She was only trying to... Yeah, so that's essentially this section. Then it goes into combat choices against... Oh, no. No, it goes straight to trying to get to form to shut him down instead of... Why did they put in a section about trying to stop form casting another spell if he just gets to cast it anyway and it's not a spell that he would have cast in the original? That doesn't make sense, right? It just takes us out of the fight, then puts us back into it. It messes with the architecture of the fight, but we'll go to section 334 here now and read what it says here. Flipping more pages. Make a note of how many times you attack the thief. Chuchev grins evilly as he moves in to attack. His enormous bastard sword swings through the air faster than you might have believed possible, and you can only hope to strike even faster. If your attack succeeds and you have a skill of Yujutsu, you may add 2 to the damage. So, Oh, where were we? We were at like 279. To try and work out how we got back here, because obviously we shut down. We kicked a wizard twice, and that shut him up, allegedly, but not really for very long. Maybe it's just an illusion. Turn to section 11. Cassandra hit us instead of fighting Tybalt. So when we now go to fight Chuchev, she'll be fighting Tybalt, right? And us and Vespers are fighting Chuchev. Tybalt and Vespers step bravely into the breach. They're skilled fighters, and Tybalt... Yeah, okay, we'll go with that. Tybalt and Vespers step bravely into the breach. They are skilled fighters. Tybalt's flail whines as it whirls through the air and cracks as it smashes against Cassandra's armor. I think we read this in the section where we swung around on the rope. Her lightning riposte wounds the priest, but you are occupied with Chuchev, who dares to attack both you and the swordsman Vespers together. You use a combination of kicks and punches against him, but are disconcerted to find that the dark cloak he wears is imbued with a magic that makes it difficult for you to tell just how close he is. We've established that numerous times now. It's like a displacer beast cloak. I can't remember what it's called. But it basically means he's flickering. Like, he's sort of flickering between different... He isn't flickering. He's in the same place, but his visual image is shifting about between 2 or 3 places, and you can't tell exactly where he is. He seems intent to finish you first. His enormous bastard sword swings through the air, faster than you might have believed possible, and he does a lot of damage. We use the Way of the Tiger and attack him. He has a defense of 7. Well, we better just kick then, right? Our defense is 9. 3 rounds of combat. If we can hit him twice. If we don't hit him twice, we get his pouch. But that could be a bad thing. Right? Because it could mean that our ally is badly hurt. Okay, well, let's play it out. We will try to kick Chuchev. A 6 doesn't beat a 7, so we miss. He attacks us. No plus. That's really bad. We'll throw a block because we don't want to die. He still hits. We probably die. Do we die? I think that's a yes. Yeah, we is deaded. Well, bugger. I think we got really close to the end there. Okay. So dead. Well. Okay. That means I do get to play through again. It does mean if I play through the early portion and make all the same choices, I can pick up at the point where Foxglove was trying to leave me behind and then take her along with me into the rift to see how many times she would betray me and how many would be genuine betrayals and how many would be subterfuge to sneak us further into a situation. Well, Cassandra, Chuchev and Form are powerful villains and worthy adversaries. It is an honour to fall before their blades and spells. Hey, that was nice. If rather frustrating and irritating at times. Yeah, so I reckon we go to 34. The big beast that, according to the section here, the beast Foxglove referred to when she spoke of a being as large as a city. Little people running away. Big person in a howdah on its back. So presumably we fight at it and maybe, just maybe, this picture of someone who could very loosely be imagined as Cassandra with her cold sword standing in the mouth of a giant beast, stabbing it in the roof of the mouth, could explain how we all fall down into the big spider web down below. in the very near future. In which case, this wasn't the beginning of their plan. This was a full-on end-of-book showdown, right? With this being more of a denouement. I'm intrigued and impressed to see how the next episode goes, where we pick up probably at around where the first episode ended, just a little bit earlier, and persuade Foxglove to stay at camp with us and see how we go from there. This is really short. I do remember one of the comments saying it's possible to get through this book with only 1 or 2 fights, and I may have, well, I'll find out next time, I suppose. But yeah, this now seems more relevant than before, even if this looks very little like this. Alright, well, we'll pick things up next time and see how we go. I imagine the comments on this video will be interesting. And let's just say I decided fairly on in this episode what the title was going to be. You all know what word might have been there instead. But that's not necessarily, you know, that phrase didn't necessarily... I mean, I might have even said it a few times when things started going weird and weird connections between sections and things just not making sense. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I feel at this point I've got a good feel for the sort of overall story arc of this book, the sort of vibe. We probably really didn't want that spider inside our head. And I do want to go back to section 1, not 164, because that's the don't do it. Was it? So let's see, 64 for Samovar. Because I want to see if that was another one of those. The samovar is indeed priceless, but you lose interest in it when a small spider leaps from its spout into your hair, like I said. And then if we get 2 spiders in a lack in our head, it fucks us up some bad way. It's either I don't think it's necessarily an auto kill. I think it's they take over your brain and start using you as a puppet, because I think in book 7, it is revealed that that's basically happened to Foxglove, and she gets, like, auto-killed by spiders, but is a trap that can auto-kill you too if you're not careful. Or something not entirely dissimilar. Right. Let's end this one before it gets any later. We accept the death and go, okay, we'll do better next time, right? It's cool. You know, leave me lots of comments and stuff. Let me know how badly you think I did or how well I did to avoid all kinds of nasty trouble before the dice betrayed me at the end. Yeah, the dice of a true traitor. Foxglove's lovely. She hasn't betrayed me at all. It's the dice betrayed me far worse than she ever did. So, I'll see you all next time for the next episode. Don't let Lady Foxglove betray you in the meantime. It'll mess up your life. We're all ninjas.